What's the difference between me and you?
What's up, guys? Episode 7. We're back on abortion because we didn't talk about it enough and we didn't have enough female perspective last time. So, look at this couch. We got 3 lovely ladies to help us out with that. And we're going to be doing a lot of listening, right, Bree?
Correct.
A lot of listening here. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves, because we know who you are, but they don't. So go ahead.
So, my name is Imani. Yeah.
And my name is Carrie.
And I'm Keisha.
All right. And obviously we got DJ Bree over here, and you got Chris, in case this is your first episode. Welcome to The Difference is Black and White.
So let's start with Imani. What do you do?
I model, and I'm in management at a dispensary.
Dispensary? Okay, cool.
I teach high school biology and chemistry.
I'm a singer-songwriter. That's basically it.
And you're all females and have vaginas.
Yes.
Right? We got to make sometimes we got to clarify that now, apparently.
Yeah, definitely got to make sure.
Yeah.
It wasn't bought, right?
I was going to make it come out. Now I got myself canceled today.
I was born this way.
Okay. All right. Good.
Perfect. All right, so obviously, the last time we talked about it, the Supreme Court had not made their decision. They have made their decision. Now they're determined that states can choose if you are allowed to have an abortion. So obviously, California and Connecticut and a bunch of other states are saying, no, like, you're protected here. But you got Florida, you got Texas, most of the South is saying, no. So what do you guys think? Like, are you guys all from California? Where are you guys originally from?
From Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Pittsburgh, okay.
I'm from Los Angeles,
Yeah.
Downey.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm from Pittsburgh, too.
Okay. Well, there
Is
you go.
Pittsburgh a red or blue state?
It's a swing state because sometimes it's like red or blue.
So they have to vote.
Yeah, I think last time I checked, they were voting on it. But I don't know. It could go either way, honestly.
Yeah. Well,
You never know.
wasn't Pennsylvania what kind of won it for Trump?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it definitely swings.
They're
for
definitely probably going to be red.
Sure. Yeah? You think so?
I don't know. I don't really have that much hope for them.
I don't know if you guys wanted to talk about this. You're welcome to not share. You're welcome to share if you want. But anybody having experience with any kind of abortions? Friends, family, yourself? Anybody want to share?
Yeah, I do. I remember in college, I actually took one of my friends to go get her like abortion pills because she had gotten pregnant and she was too young, and then she did it again, which was a little frustrating, but I think after that she learned her lesson because the whole process in it itself is actually quite unbearable. I've heard nothing but horrible things about what your body goes through. Basically, it's like you're on your period, but it's just 100 times worse, because it's, you're getting rid of all of your placenta lining, or the lining of your uterus. So I know
it's an actual
it's not
procedure as opposed to just like a pill.
No, it was like a suppository.
Oh, wow.
And the common thing also was that the nurses kind of downplayed the pain because they said, oh, you'll be in pain for a little while. And both friends said it's like the worst, most excruciating pain they've ever gone through in their life. I'm not in touch with the one that got one in college that I took her to, but my other friend who had an abortion many years ago, like, she still talks to this day. She does regret it to some extent. Like, she wished she had, like, because she's in her mid-40s now and she wants to have children, and she wonders if, like, did she curse herself, that doing that at a young age caused her to not be able to, not end up having one. So there, but I think her life would have been a lot different as well. So I think that's kind of the point, is you're making a decision about the direction you want your life to go. And we often come to forks in the road. And that was just one that happened for them. But for myself personally, no. I've always just protected myself and been on birth control. But I think the problem
and it's
there
worked.
is, yes, thank God.
Some people have,
well,
some people it doesn't
I
work.
don't have any kids. But, I was very proactive about that before I became sexually active. Figured I'll stop when I'm married and ready to have kids. And so... but I know for a lot of females, the birth control just doesn't, it really messes with their hormones. And, there's a lot of variations in the type of contraceptive you can use. But I know for most women that don't take it, it's just the same thing. It's like it throws their body off and it makes them, it's very uncomfortable. So
Yeah, that's so me. Like,
yeah.
I hate
So
it.
I thank God that like all of it's worked for me. But you know, I know that's
Yeah.
a topic we can cover.
I'm gonna just be truthful. So me personally, when I was 19, I was in a seriously like real life abusive relationship, and I was on my way to leaving him. Like it took months, but I was on my way, and I found out I was pregnant with his child, and had to make that decision. And it was a decision to have this abusive person tied to me for 18 years and more, or make the decision to, you know, terminate that and get away. And I had to make a decision for my health, for my life, and all that, you know what I mean? And it's tough because now, as a 24-year-old, I'm like, one day I want to have kids, you know what I mean? But I also have problems now because of it. Like I have endometriosis, PCOS, and I have had the fibroid situation, and it was just a lot going on in my reproductive area. So if I want to have kids in the future, it would be like, I would have to take an extra step, like whether that be like in vitro or like, you know, it would have to be a serious process, you know what I mean? I have to actually do it. But I mean, I don't regret it at all. I'm very happy that I had that decision, because otherwise my life would be, I don't know where I would be, honestly, if I would be alive, if I'd be here. So I'm just like, you know, I'm very grateful that we had that decision.
And
I was
I think
able to have that.
that's the important thing is it's the decision.
It's the choice,
It's the
exactly.
choice,
Because
which
I mean, like, you know, I mean, like, I've been judged in my life for it, like, from telling people, even family members. But at the same time, I'm like, you weren't the one living my life. You weren't in that situation in those dark times and those, you know what I mean? So it is what it is.
Yeah, 100%.
And, yeah.
I think I think we're all in agreement that we're all pro-choice, if I imagine, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's-
Okay. Making sure.
So,
No
yeah.
judgment here. You
No,
know what I
no,
mean?
yeah.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'm definitely pro-choice, but I do have a question for you guys. So what does this ruling do for you guys, given that you guys live in California?
Thankfully, we still have a choice. I mean, but I feel like it's deeper than that. Like, okay, for example, I was talking to a male friend the other day, and I'm like, you know, did you see, like, the ruling? And he's like, well, who cares? You're in California. It doesn't, like, matter to you. But I think it's deeper than that. It's the fact that, like, women still don't have the right to make certain choices. Like, why does anyone
About
have
their
a
own
choice?
body.
Yeah,
Like,
you know,
what the fuck?
no one should have a choice over someone else's body. Like, we don't see laws about men and you have to get a vasectomy and this and that. And you know what I mean? So I just feel like,
Let it have been men that were
Yeah.
getting pregnant, you guys would definitely have the choice. And it's just because, like, literally white men run the world. So, yeah. They're not trying to get, what the racists are trying to get wiped out, and you know what I mean? It's just a lot. It goes so deep. But hey, you know what I mean? No offense.
No, I mean, I don't want to say we do, but
we
we
could
do.
go racial here, but I'm not going to do that.
I think even like what she was saying, it goes deeper. The fact that the people most highly impacted by this are going to be minorities in poverty who aren't, you know, let's be honest, the school systems don't always teach sex ed. I know in my school we do because I teach it. And we cover a whole day on contraceptives and all of the FDA-approved contraceptives, including abstinence. That abstinence is the only one that's 100% effective, and we push that. But if that's not going to be the case, then here's your other
Prepare
options.
them at least, yeah.
And we provide them with a phone number that they can message, and they just type in their zip code, and it will give them all like the sexual health clinics
Yeah, it's
in the
evolved.
area.
It's
Yeah,
amazing.
That's cool.
And I think, you know, these people in Alabama, Louisiana, Florida are not getting access to that.
Right.
So, you know, these kids are not going to be educated on contraceptives in the first place. In some places, they may not even be able to get the contraceptives because the doctors won't prescribe it. And I feel like you're really putting these women in a situation where you're setting them up for failure.
But not even the women, it's the children that we got to think about that are unwanted.
Oh.
The
And I
life,
have
the
to-
life part
Yeah.
of it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
growing up without enough to eat, or growing up in really abusive households, growing up in foster care.
And our foster care
Like,
system is
it's
highly neglected.
fucked. I know personally, like from family members and from people I know, like it's just, It's absolutely ridiculous, and I would never want a child to go through that. You know what I'm saying?
And then there's
So-
always those cases. Sorry, I'm
Okay.
cut you off. There's also those cases where women are put in the position where they don't want a kid. And think about a woman who, for example, God forbid, was raped and was forced to have a kid, and then the kid's born, and she's going through postpartum and all this shit, and then
Like the resentment?
decides to like kill her baby. Like there's gonna be
Yeah.
more stories about like
Yeah.
women drowning their kids, sad shit like that, or women having to use hangers and shit like it's 1942.
It's
you know
not
what
going
I
to
mean?
stop.
Like,
It's just going to become less
It's sad.
safe.
yeah.
So I'm clearly pro-choice, but I also want to play devil's advocate, So what about people just being more responsible? If you know that you're not financially ready to have kids, why not use protection and birth control? Or, why aren't the families educating the kids? Why do we have to rely on the schools to educate our kids about sex?
Well, I think that sex is a taboo topic for a lot of people. There's a lot of cultures that it's taboo. You just don't talk about it.
Yeah.
That's hush hush. But once again, it's back to there's a lack of comprehensive sex education in the schools. If you're not teaching kids how babies are made, and they're not hearing it at home, and they don't know about contraceptives because they've never been told about it, then you can't expect them to use it.
But we should be talking about that.
Yes, we should
I
be,
definitely-
but I'm saying you have to get over that cultural barrier of sex is taboo, we don't talk about it, which is why we teach it in the schools. But we still have kids who are not allowed to be in the classroom during those lessons.
Really?
Like, yes, the
Yeah.
parents are allowed to.
They have to sign a waiver.
Yeah, I know I remember that,
so
but
it's a by
Yeah.
default, it's a yes unless you send the paper back and say no. And every year I have one or two kids that their parents don't want them to know about it. But I can't help it if they talk to their classmates and find out what they missed, and they're always curious and want to know more. And I think that until we provide that comprehensive sex education, that's not going to happen, because you still have parents that are going to waive it and not want their kids to be involved. And it's ignorance that's causing a lot of this, I think. Access to health care and health services, another issue. It's inequitable. If you live in a city, you have more access than if you live in a rural area, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, we're getting down to like the nitty gritty of why kids are making these decisions, because for the most part, it's teenagers and then 20-year-olds.
Well, I hear everything you're saying, loud and clear.
Okay.
But you get pregnant, and now you know how to go get an abortion.
Yeah,
but
that's what I was gonna say.
You couldn't prevent that by using condoms and birth control.
But if they didn't know.
But you know how to get an abortion.
Yeah, my thing is like, I feel
Well,
like,
I don't know that they even know about it. I mean, I don't think they really even understand all that. I think it's a complete lack of understanding in that. So
I feel like nowadays in 2022, we have access to a lot of sexual education. Period. On the internet, online, people have access. I mean, as young as
Instagram.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Everywhere.
Most of the sex
so my thing
education is from like Pornhub, though, too.
yeah.
Just
So yeah, but my thing is like, yes, be aware. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be out here doing the most and just being reckless and be like, oh, I could just go get an abortion because look where we are now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it still needs to be an option available for those that are in the predicament where it's like, okay, this is seriously needed. You know what I mean? But don't just be out here like, oh, well, that's my contraceptive. I just go kill the baby.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like, that's ridiculous.
I have to say, comes down to this, where I feel like 9 out of 10 times, men don't want to wear condoms. That's a known fact. Then it's down to birth control, but then again, that's on the women. You know what I mean? So it's up to us to be
But is
safe.
it though? Because there's male birth control now.
Is there?
Because
there-
not enough of y'all are on it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
I don't see a lot of men jumping to be on birth control,
men
but
are not
or
as
getting
reliable as women.
vasectomies, or you know what
Yeah.
I mean, being proactive as we would expect
Right.
women to be on birth control and to be proactive. You know, I
Right.
feel like this conversation is a bit one-sided, just like this ruling is, because I feel like it's always down to women. You know, women, you should protect yourself. Get on birth control. Women this, women that. You know,
Right.
now women can't get abortions.
Well, that's the other thing too.
It takes two.
It does take two.
It does take two. If you say, "Hey, I'm not on birth control,"
9 out of
then-
10 times, a man is still not gonna put on a condom. He's gonna be like, I can pull out.
Okay.
All I'm saying.
Okay, so
That's all I'm gonna
it's
say.
a decision that you still a decision that,
That
you
two people made.
two
Yeah.
people made. You know what I'm saying?
But two people aren't punished. So all these laws, that's the other thing about these laws. Is
And men always have the option.
Men are
Yeah.
not punished though. Like it's like, oh, if you get an abortion,
Yeah.
you're a doctor
And
and,
if
you were
God
punished.
forbid a woman
but-
gets an abortion in one of these states, sorry, I don't mean to cut
No,
you
you're
off.
good.
She's going to jail. The doctor's going to jail. What's the man do? He got her pregnant.
right.
You know,
He
and
just gets to go home and
8 out of
chill.
10 chances, I'll say 7. 7 out of 10 chances, the abortions benefit the men. A lot. Sometimes a lot more than just the women. So a lot of times, men are the ones paying for these abortions. So I feel like you said, men don't get punished. So I feel like the whole conversation is very one-sided, and it's not like we don't really have a choice either way. It's either fuck up your body and go on birth control, or and because you're not allowed an abortion, or fuck up your body and get an abortion because you know what I mean, you got pregnant. I don't know.
Or I'm just
abstinent.
playing.
I know what
I'm
you're
playing
saying. I know
devil's
what you're
advocate.
saying.
Lord is always one of them.
You know, or don't have sex.
Or don't.
You know, like
Or don't.
it's. You know, you kind of got to pick your poison.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is one of those things where it's
But who doesn't want to have sex? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I would say that the reality is that we're all doing it, and I
Yeah.
think the ideal situation is that everyone would be doing it with respect and responsibility. You know, that everyone's proceeding with consent and understanding. But I also think, you know, there's situations where people aren't completely honest for whatever reason, and but I think in those consensual situations, you know, it's kind of like you've made your bed, now lie in it. But what about this situation? I had a student who was a really good student. Mind you, she was in 8th grade. I was teaching 8th grade at the time. And she was one of my best students, very quiet, very shy, but she always did her work. And she was gone for a whole week. And that was really atypical. And when she came back, I said, you know, were you on vacation? What was up? And she's like, it was like a family situation. Well, it turns out that her father had been coming into her room and raping her every night, and she was pregnant with his child. And but it was so late in the pregnancy she couldn't get an abortion. And so this is probably more of a pro-life thing, but she carried the baby to term and did an open adoption so that she could still be a part of the kid's life, even if she wasn't the parent. And the people adopting were okay with that. But
8th grade, you said.
in
Yeah,
8th
that's, like,
grade, and it had been
ridiculous.
happening
Makes
for a
me so
couple
angry.
years.
That's what, 14?
13.
Yeah, it's like 13.
So where's the dad? Did the dad go to
He
jail?
went to jail for it.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
hope.
But then, you know, her mom blamed her for it. So why are you trying to steal my man? You know?
That is a whole different conversation.
And so what I'm saying, this isn't that. There's a lot of crazy situations out there like that where there's some crazy, toxic, manipulative, bad, evil things going on, and once again you put a girl in a position where, you know, she should have the choice, you know, and she chose to keep the child, and, you know, it all worked out for her. She ended up going to college, and, you know, praise God, she had all that support, but it wasn't coming from her family. But, you know, families are not, sometimes the family is the reason why these bad choices are made or these bad situations have happened, and I just feel women are just the victim in a lot of that.
Always, though.
All I'm saying is, do you think these white men, plus the black one, because there was one black one,
Clarence Thomas, yeah.
yeah. Do you think these men are like taking those things in account when they make these laws? Because I feel like They're not. They can't be.
Well, don't forget
If-
Amy.
No.
Oh
Don't
yeah,
forget Amy.
yeah. And the woman too.
Yeah.
I think it's
But-
the gateway. It's like banning abortions is the next step to what? Taking away birth
Yeah.
control pills,
That's,
taking away.
well, that's
Oh,
what
that's
Clarence
the next
Thomas
step.
was
yeah,
actually saying.
it's the gateway to
So you
all
think
of
they
this.
really take away the birth control?
Yeah,
No,
that's
so-
what
so
they're trying to
basically-
do.
so-
No,
what happened to population
they're wanting to go
control?
after gay
Like-
rights. They're wanting to go after
All
it's
of
all
it.
the theology
Yeah.
talking
Kill
points.
all of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me, you know. I feel like are we in 1942?
That's what I'm
Or are
saying.
we in 2022? You
And
know,
I feel like didn't
just-
gay people just get the right to get married in like 2009 or something, 2010?
2008, I believe it was California.
Yeah, it was when
2008, I think,
Obama
but-
was first elected, right?
Yeah,
So like
yeah, around
at
there.
this point, it's like, oh, they like what the fuck? You
Yeah,
feel me?
it's way
But
established.
my thing is like for stuff like that, no offense to anyone, stuff like that, gay people not being able to get married, people will rally up behind that.
I don't think that's
So
the
I
same
think-
thing as a woman not having rights.
No, but
And
I'm
offense
saying
to
I'm
anyone.
I'm saying
No
that
offense
there
to
will
anyone.
be a lot of protests and that for I'm
Yeah.
saying for something like this when it's all women, it's not just black people, it's not just white people, it's all women. We should
Yeah.
also be in that same boat. Like let's stand together and let's fight for this. You know what I'm saying? Rather than let's fight for everybody else and their
And
situations.
so people don't tear me up in the comments. I will say, I think everyone should have the right to do whatever the fuck they want, in general, all the way around. But do I think that a woman's rights is the same level as, you know, people getting,
Yeah.
couples and things like that? I think it's a little more pressing. But like I said, I think everyone should have the right to do whatever
Yeah.
they want, whenever they want. No one should have the right to say who you can fuck, who you can marry, if you can have a kid or not, if you
Yeah.
can kill it, none of that. So,
Well,
just
they
putting that
they
for
always
record.
say, you're killing babies. It's like, well, to me, a baby's outside the womb.
Exactly.
So like, it's part of your body. Like, and there's arguments for both sides, but that's my opinion.
No,
The one thing
I
I'll say about
totally
your
disagree.
protesting is you brought up a stat though, like where it's more white women who are protesting
Yes.
about this, but it's I think we said what was it 40%?
I heard it was more so white women.
Yeah, more so
Yeah,
white
it's more so
women.
white women, which is
So why
interesting.
is that?
So why are more white
That's my
women
question.
protesting?
It's not. You don't. Now, I barely see any black people in the street protesting these abortions. Barely. Like all the news
Because
clips.
black people be having kids.
But
No,
why?
I'm just
Why
saying.
is the white people pushing this? White women pushing this agenda?
Well,
Represent everybody.
I can't represent the white women, but even though I am one, I would say maybe they're like we are trying to empower other women. I don't know exactly. I think it's
White
it's,
savior?
Here's
Honestly,
the thing,
yes.
though.
Honestly, yes. I think
I
white
I
think
think
people.
we're
that's the
out
thing.
there like, hey, you know what? Like, if you guys are not there, we're going to be out there because really an injustice to one is an injustice to all of us. And like, we have strength in numbers. And so we can be out there, having an impact ideally. But I know, at least from my circle, like it's males and females alike disgusted by this decision. It's not just my female friends, but I guess the better question is why aren't minority women out there?
Yeah.
So we have two here.
I think
Hand that mic back.
I think that white women are going so hard now because it actually affects them. Because you know what I'm saying, like whether
They
it
are
be
the
like
majority.
the George Floyd protests or something like that, like you know what I'm saying, it was black people was out there ready to go. You know what I'm saying? If it was just black women couldn't get abortion, then it would be like, okay, nah, fuck no, da 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 da. But now that it's actually affecting everyone, now it's like you'll see.
yeah.
More-
And for once, I feel like you said, white people are getting affected by this. White women are.
Yeah,
It's
you know
not
what I'm saying?
just minorities.
But
Everyone's
also,
rights were taken
yeah,
away.
like I don't understand like why minorities out. I mean, black people was in the streets
Man.
for a cool couple months when motherfuckers was getting shot. So now that y'all are like getting y'all literal rights getting taken away, you know what I'm saying? I think that should count for people to actually get out there and do something.
I feel like it's because, I look at my own parents. Niggas got 8 kids, you know what I'm saying? I feel like
They
a
just
lot
had
of
a baby
minorities,
sometimes.
they keep their kids.
No,
I
but
don't know how to explain that, but
let's
they-
also
they
be
have a
real
lot of
though. Let's
kids,
be
you
real
know?
about how minority situations work from personal experience of knowing people. Oh well, I'm gonna have me another baby. That's an extra 500 on
Yeah,
food stamps.
exactly, you
That's
know?
an extra 1K and on the
Is
the
that
cash
common
side of the.
though? Because like, it's such a stereotype, but
That's
is that common?
very
Not
common.
everyone, but yes.
Not everyone,
Yes.
not
But
everyone,
there-
but I
From personal
There are
experience, I do
numbers
know. You know
behind
what I
it.
mean?
Yeah.
Like I can't sit here and act like
So it's like,
that
hey,
doesn't
fuck, we're
happen.
gonna have this baby. Now this is not like 19, like back in the 1960s where it's like, oh, if we have another child, I don't know how we're gonna pay this rent. I don't know how we're gonna do
Yeah.
this. You know what I'm saying? Nowadays it's like people are getting compensated for their children on taxes, on all that
man,
stuff. You know
That's
what I
the
mean?
main one, taxes.
Doesn't that feed into their argument though?
But
to get rid of it.
Yeah,
It's-
so
yeah.
Yeah.
that's how it affect the men. Because a woman gets pregnant and the guy wants it and she aborts it, there's no consequence, you know, or in the past there wasn't no consequence, you know. A girl get pregnant, she wants it and the guy doesn't, she keeps the baby and now the man is financially responsible for something that he didn't want. Is that fair?
I won't say that's not fair. When I say the first
tough.
one, I
No, I'm saying
say
that's a tough like thing to think about because
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like
I personally think either way, it is a woman's choice what she does. You know, I feel
So
like
if she chooses to do that, can she just say, hey, you know what? I understand that you don't want this baby. I'm going to take for financial responsibility.
like you
for
said,
this.
it takes two. So if a man didn't want to have a baby, she never fucked her.
So do you think it should take two for abortion?
No.
But no,
Okay,
because
okay. You know what? You got me there. You got me there.
No, because
I
like,
do say it's a woman's choice.
No, my thing is like you're not
got
the one
me
that's
there.
gonna have to go through the months of bleeding and pain.
Yeah.
You're not the one that's gonna have to go through the
Postpartum.
emotional trauma of having a life literally ripped out. I mean, or like just something ripped out of you. Because I do
Yeah.
not believe that the soul enters the body until the baby comes out. But that's just me and my personal beliefs. But also like after a certain stage, you know what I'm saying? If you like
that baby's in there.
you know what I'm saying?
You
The
know,
baby's
there's
in
a
there. But I
baby.
mean, like, in the first, like, when you're allowed the first 12 weeks, I think it is.
Yeah.
Come on now. Like, the
It's
baby
a
is, like,
fetus, you
You know
know?
what I mean? Like, it's just a sale at that point.
Nah, but it has a heartbeat.
Yes,
It's a heartbeat, though. Once it has a heartbeat, that's life.
Yes, but
I
still
agree and I
think
disagree.
it's
a
a woman's
heartbeat is
choice.
life.
Okay, if you were to
Yeah.
give birth to that heartbeat, what would it be?
It wouldn't live.
You know
It
what I'm
wouldn't
saying?
live because it's not fully developed.
Exactly. So it's
But
not a
it's
baby.
still a heartbeat. That's a life.
So if I gave birth to this heartbeat right now, is it gonna still be beating? No.
That sounds so cruel. That sounds so cruel.
I mean,
That sounds so cruel.
It's
But
true,
but, I'm
though.
just saying, but that's the thing is like at that point,
If a
like,
baby is like at a certain point, a baby can be born as like early, like 28 weeks, and like
20,
so
24,
early.
yeah.
But and the baby's so
28.
tiny, but it's still a baby.
Now, do I
You know what
think
mean?
women should be able to get rid of kids after a certain point? No, I feel like you've had a window to think about it and you chose to have this kid. You know what I mean? Like, if it's not like a direct, I get it. Maybe some cases they have to take time to understand what they want. But I feel like after a certain point, it's like, okay, you made your bed, now lay in it, if that makes sense.
she didn't make a
Like-
decision.
Yeah.
Where do you think that
Well,
time is?
there are
Carrie.
rules.
I feel like 12 weeks is, well, they say, 4, 8, 12. 12 weeks is when you go to the doctors and they're like, okay, if you make it by 12 weeks, you're having a baby. Like, if you make it 12 weeks, there's a
So
chance
after
you're
the
not really
first
gonna, there's less
trimester?
chance of a miscarriage.
I
Let's
think
say
that- I think
so
that that's
feel
already-
like when there's less chance of a miscarriage, that baby's in there. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's actually part of the law in California is that you,
Yeah.
I know there are rules about how late in the term you can be.
I think it's
to
12
do
to
it.
16 weeks.
Yeah,
or
I
some
think
shit
it's
like
about that too.
that. Yeah, I don't think you could be 7 months pregnant and be like, well, I changed my mind. Let me get rid
But
of
some
this
people
baby.
don't
Yeah.
know.
Like, that's like,
There's some people don't know that
ridiculous.
they're pregnant, which is hard to believe, but it has happened to people.
It does happen.
That happened to my
sorry,
best friend. She was
interrupt
7
you.
months pregnant when
Yeah.
she found out she was pregnant. And I'm like, how is that possible? And
Miss
she
your period that many times.
she
Some people
she
get
was
their periods though.
stressed.
That's what
She had just
Yeah,
lost her
that-
father, and like she just was kind of distraught and depressed, and she just felt like all of her symptoms were just symptoms of
you don't
those
take
things
a test?
going on.
No offense to your friend, but I'm like, you don't take
well,
a test?
she has an irregular period anyway.
yeah,
so
But
you know,
no,
it's,
the belly didn't grow at all.
yeah, but she had been.
Sometimes that
she,
doesn't
She was
happen.
depressed. She thought she was just gaining weight.
Wait, did you see
from-
Did you see the show? I didn't know I was pregnant.
There's a
Yeah,
whole
that's
show
Yeah.
on it. Yeah, no. So, but in that case, you know, she had her baby, but I do think that there is a limit to when that should happen, because there's a point where it's like, okay, unless I believe the law says unless there's an imminent health risk to the mother for carrying the child for full term. But, you know, that would be a really tough decision to make, you know. Like, that's why, you know, to be in the devil's advocate, like, I have protected myself to make sure I never have to go through that. Right. But like I said, I'm fortunate to have a body that can accept the birth control, and it worked. But we all know that even condoms they're not 99% effective. And, you know, even vasectomies aren't necessarily 100% effective from what I understand. So, and they can be reversed, But I feel like there needs to be a little more equity in, I think, control over this, because I feel like if there's a male contraceptive, then it puts it in the control of men, and then they can be responsible, and they know that they're not going to be having a bunch of babies. And I feel like the two combined is really the best thing. But I don't see that being pushed by these people who are pushing that there's no abortions. And I feel like there needs to be a balance. Okay, so no abortions, well then, if there's no abortions, then you need to increase your funding for foster care. You need to increase your funding for infant health care and all of these other things. If you're going to force women into having babies, then you need to provide opportunities for them to not be at a disadvantage because of this.
Right, and that's the hypocrisy.
And that's the part that we know is not happening.
Yeah,
and that's where it's like you're not pro-life, you're just controlling women.
They don't want to spend money.
Well, they want to spend money, but they'd rather spend it on guns and war instead of, you know, here at home where we need it the most.
Yeah, that was the funny
You
part.
made great points right there. Great points.
The Supreme Court actually made the decision that states don't get to decide on guns.
Yeah,
But
I don't get that.
But we're gonna make decisions about your vagina and everything else.
It doesn't make sense to me.
It's
a man's world.
Hypocrisy.
That's why.
Yeah.
You know?
We have people walking up into schools shooting children.
That's the thing. They don't even protect kids
and
in school.
Guys are
but
trying. You guys are mad
them.
because I'd rather not make. I'd rather have a choice than to be forced into doing something.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. But I mean, guns.
And
is another
aren't
topic.
we like overpopulated as a world in general?
I could have sworn that we were doing population control.
Yeah,
With
I thought
COVID.
so too.
Yeah, I didn't know. Like, now it's like, okay, so now you guys are going to force us to have more kids? Like, what are you guys trying to do?
I don't
Well,
understand.
there is the huge theory that the white population is trying to.
I've been
make
avoiding
people
that
That's what I was
topic.
saying
you would
earlier, but I
think
wasn't
that
going
they
to
would
get
be
into
okay
it.
with then black people having more abortions, saying no,
well, they
get
can't
rid of
do
your
that.
kids.
That's too obvious.
What? I mean, shit. Why
I
not?
mean,
But I'm
it
just
is.
saying,
It's
like,
too obvious.
yeah.
You know that no one's gonna do that. They're not gonna be like, oh my god, we gotta save our race. Let me go ahead and ban my women from having abortions. They're not gonna do that.
In a way, they are.
I feel like if they wanted to really, if that was the case, then they would be really promoting that and birth control in these low-income, poverty, minority areas.
Right.
And that's not what you're seeing. So it's an interesting theory. Like, there was some chick on Instagram, like, you know, getting mad at white women, and, you know, we've been telling you this the whole time, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, you have a vagina, I have a vagina, we can all get pregnant, and we all should have the choice. I think that's a pretty universal, like, not divided by color lines or ethnicity or culture. Like, it is what it is. Well, culture, maybe. There's some cultures that
So
are like,
maybe, like, why can't we do it like how we do the presidency? Like, I mean, or maybe just actually ask women, like, hey, well, how do you feel? Or, like, give us a vote. Even if they want to open it to men and women, because like you were saying earlier, like, the man doesn't really have a choice. It's always on the woman. Like, you know, what if he decides he want to take care of it or whatever with the whoop? Like, why can't we just go in secretly and put our ballots in and be like, hey, I want to whatever.
One thing I'm gonna say is I don't think we even have a choice in that. I don't think
Yeah,
who
the
becomes
votes.
a president and who runs the country and the laws and shit. If you ask me,
got
I
two
don't
choices.
think we have a choice
Yeah.
in either that either. So I'm not surprised that we don't have a choice with like our
Yeah,
own.
it's literally a
bodies.
bunch of old ass white men with like a couple sprinkles of other people.
So I've made a decision that I'm the devil's advocate of
You're
this
that guy.
episode. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he made it clear that he's definitely pro-choice.
I'm pro-choice, but I just want to know: do you guys see any positives in this Roe versus Wade?
I haven't
Like
answered, but
that-
I want to hear you guys. Go ahead.
Like I said, it's bigger than just a law that was made or, you know, something that was overturned and some states can do this and some states can do that. I think it's the fact that we don't have, like, I seen this going around social media. Guns have more rights than women in America, and that's true. You know, it's a bigger issue than that. So I don't see a positive in it.
So, like, we know the negatives,
I
but
guess,
is
okay,
there
you know what?
any
I'll say a
positive?
positive, but abortions, they fuck up a one's body. So does birth control and things like that. So I guess maybe that could be a positive, but I still think we should have a choice.
Yeah, I think it will force people to be more like responsible with their sex life, basically. Like, but again, like it's like like, come on now, they're really trying to control women at this point. Like, it's really there's no really positive, you know what I mean? But I guess
Yeah, like Chris said earlier, this doesn't end abortion. It just ends safe abortions in those locations where it's not available, because just because you make it illegal doesn't mean people don't need it. And once again, it's going to be like minority, low-income women that are in situations that they didn't intend to get into, where, you know, how are they going to fly to California or one of the other states in order to get the abortion?
So that's
they're
a
going to kind of
negative.
be forced into
That's
it.
a negative. We know the negatives. We're the positives.
You know what? Okay, I'm going to say a
It's not that
positive.
many
I will say a
positives.
positive.
Okay.
There are women rallying, and there's men and women rallying around supporting these women that don't have access now. And so what I predict is that, I was just thinking about this on the way here, like, you know, what if we had kind of like the, like a bus that just starts in Florida, and along the way it picks up women that need an abortion, and it just takes them all the way to the closest state that does it, and it's like an underground railroad for abortions. And I feel like there are going to be people coming together for that, and people reaching out and supporting women who want to make a choice, and that to me I think is going to be beautiful, but it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
yeah,
You know?
or like bail funds.
Sorry, real quick. My point was, this is the flint that starts the fire. Like, this is gonna piss people off because you went too far with it. Now it's like you take a little bit away, nobody cares, nobody notices. But now it's like, oh, you fucked up. Like, now you've woken us up, and now we actually care about this. So now we're gonna look at the next election because we hate you so much for doing that. So I really think this is gonna turn something. Well, hopefully we'll see what it does, but. Now we kind of realize, oh, voting actually does matter. Because look, they got three support. Trump has
Swear.
3 people on that court.
Yeah.
One that should have never been there because Obama should have had.
It's actually an
Merrick
attack
Garland.
on women, like literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And I
It's
was-
50% of the population, but you know, there are women that are pro-life and will like fight to the tooth, you know, for pro-life. But it's, you know, it's hypocritical because they're also pro-gun, and they're pro all these other things that are inherently not safe.
that end life
And
in the
that
first
in
place.
life, and it doesn't, or they're not even pro supporting life. It's just like, we protect you in the womb, but as soon as you're born, peace, you know, you're on your own. And that part really is what gets me. It's like the inconsistency and the, you know, like Jesus would be appalled, y'all. Like you're spouting all this stuff under his name, and I know enough from all the times I went to church to know that that wasn't his thing. His thing was acceptance and love and nurturing. And maybe these teen girls that are getting pregnant and having abortions, if we nurtured them and gave them healthy homes and all these other things, they wouldn't act out sexually, and they wouldn't get pregnant unintentionally, or they would be taken to clinics where they can get, you know, contraceptives.
More educated.
But education is key. It really comes down to that. And like, that's why there's mandatory sex education in not only middle school but high school as well. We start them at like 7th grade, and then they get it again in 9th or 10th grade. And but it's not everywhere.
I was gonna say, I guess the positive would be, and I roll my eyes because I don't think there's that many positives, just for the record. But I'm 22, and I will say that my generation isn't that big on voting and things like that. I feel like we are more caught up in like social media and, you know, like the glam and life and things. So we don't think about like real life in a sense. Like, you know, just even talking to my peers about this, you know, like, and Grant, I do have a lot of people that I hang out with that are older than me. So that is one thing that people always are like saying, like, you guys don't go out and you guys don't vote, and it's true. So I feel like this kind of is waking up like ourselves, you know, because it's like, whoa, okay, we're the ones that are 22, 25, you know, 21, 20 that are like, this is going to affect us for the next 40 to 60 years and our kids, you know what I mean? Like,
Those
people
judges
making
are
these
young.
laws.
Those judges are young and are lifetime appointments.
Yeah, you know.
You don't
and
realize it. It's like, oh,
Exactly.
yeah, okay, cool, whatever. Like, it doesn't affect me.
Exactly.
And you get, I don't want to say there's an age where you do realize it, maybe your 30s. But yeah, like the young people, you guys need to wake up.
Yeah,
and you realize
honestly.
that things, you're like, oh, I just rode the coattails of my parents. This was fine. And now it hits you.
Exactly. And these people who are in
Yeah.
positions to make these, who are passing these laws and things, they're in their
80, 90
60s,
years
90,
old.
okay, maybe not even
They're
60s.
old.
Fuck. They're old as fuck. So
Yeah.
this shit is not going to affect them for the next 40 years.
They'll
It's
be
going to
dead.
affect
They're
us.
way
So
dead. Yep.
I feel like this is definitely like a oh shit type moment. Like, okay, I fucked
Yeah,
up.
but
you know,
just
I
think
need to
about
start
how
paying
abortions were
attention,
done
you
before
know?
it was legal. Like, they used to back
Hangers
alleyways.
and
You know what I
fucking
mean?
throwing bitches
Like,
down, females downstairs and things and you know what I
finding
mean?
babies in
Like,
trash cans and shit. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, just think
Or-
about how much that's going to increase if you guys just don't give people the option to do it safely.
Also,
Like-
think about the men who don't want kids and who are going to be killing women because she's pregnant. You know what I mean? Think about, like,
Yeah,
because
that's a
that's
problem.
already happening, like,
Yeah.
today when abortions were legal. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
so what do we do, or what do you guys do about this? You know, protesting, I think, proves doesn't do shit.
So what
You
the
know,
fuck do we
so
do?
what do you guys do? Like, I hear everybody, you know, everybody has an opinion, you know, commenting, they posting memes and stuff on social media. That shit don't do nothing. Like, so what do you do to roll up your sleeves and get the work done? What are your ideas?
Protesting, for one. You know what? For example, I seen this little girl. She's maybe 13, and it's incredible. Like, she's on TikTok. She's, like, kind of big right now because she goes to all these, like, Supreme Courts and all these meetings and town meetings it's mostly about, like, police brutality. And I'm sure she's going to be talking about this very soon, and we're going to be seeing her around. But it's, like, inspirational because there is things that we can do. I feel like if people realize that, like, we do have a voice, you know what I mean? I feel like a lot of people are suppressed by fear of the fact that there's nothing you can do. What do you do, you know? And so I feel like in the past we haven't had those numbers because people think like you, no offense. Protest is not going to do nothing. Having a voice is not going to do nothing. When, in general, say every woman in America came together and fought this, I don't think that these 8 or 9 old-ass people that are going to die in like 10 years would be able to like fight that. I mean, I feel like the way our country is set up, there are ways that we can go against the government. I just feel like people are suppressed with so much fear.
I don't know, because I feel like at the same time, we can do so much. We can go and like rally out in front of the White House or whatever, but ultimately it comes down to their decision. Yeah, they can have a bunch of angry ass
Then
citizens.
stop
They get it all
feeding
the
them.
time.
But hey,
They get
you
it
know
all
what I'm
the
saying?
time.
But
Stop
hey, they
feeding
still made
their
the decision.
economy, you know? Like,
Yeah.
One
hit
thing
them where
for
it
sure,
hurts, I feel like.
every woman is not going to come together.
Exactly,
Yeah.
that's our problem,
And
you
that's
know?
the thing with the black people.
Yeah.
We're all not going to come together. So when you have that, we're never going to be able to overthrow the government. So
Yeah.
with the resources that we have, what do we do?
Well, I feel like organizations like Planned Parenthood are kind of on the front lines of that fight, trying to establish, clinics in areas where there's need. But, once again, there's laws that like prevent them from setting up camp. So they like set up as close as possible. And like I said, it comes down to education, teaching like parents and their kids about sex and protecting themselves, STDs. There's a lot more to sex ed than just, having sex. We cover a lot of things like consent. We talk about the difference between your sexuality and your sexual identity. We talk about how do you know when you're ready to have sex. I mean, there's like this list of 30 questions that you should be able to answer with your partner before you're ready to have sex. And the truth is, like, these are all really legit questions. And like, I was a teacher when I saw these questions. So I imagine if I'd seen those questions in high school, I might have thought differently about engaging in sexual activity. But I also was educated about contraceptives. So I knew, okay, if I just wanted to blow off those questions, I can can still protect myself and make sure that I don't get pregnant. And so equal access to contraceptives, equal access to education, and resources to support responsible decision making. I think that's where it really starts. But you get those schools in the deep South that they're not going to do that because it's, it's hush hush.
If you tell them about sex, they're gonna have sex. That's the theory.
But they're gonna have sex anyway.
They're gonna exactly.
You can't stop it.
You might as well educate them now.
Isn't so much of the rural towns where they're 18 when they're getting pregnant and married, they're young, they don't a lot of that's when you're out here in the West Coast, people a little older usually. Mm-hmm. What you reminded me of was, I don't know if you have, it wasn't DARE. What program was it? But it was like an alcoholic drunk driving program where you would stage this crash, like one of your
every 15 minutes.
Every 15 minutes, that's what it was. They came to my school, so I was thinking something similar to that, where it's like they staged an accident, one of your classmates died, basically. But if we actually showed what it's like to have to raise kids, I mean, that's the best form of birth control, because we're both parents, so we know it's rough. And so if you do that, maybe that's something that should happen. That'll scare kids, and maybe I shouldn't have sex.
Well, that was part of our.
Yeah.
That used to be part of our. We had a parenting class, in
Yeah.
high school.
Right.
It was an elective,
It's not
and
the
remember
same,
these
though.
people had to carry around these babies, and every once in a while would start crying, in the middle of class. There's the flower babies. But those
that ain't
classes,
enough. They need to see the financial part of it.
Yeah.
Daycare is like $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just as much as your rent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, and that's why
And the formula
laws like
shortage,
these
all
put
this, yeah.
minority women at a disadvantage because they don't have that kind of money. So instead of going to school, they're taking care of their kid and they're not going anywhere. And then they're relying on our government. What I see is this is going to just create a bigger issue of there's going to be a generation of kids that are born that aren't being taken care of. And what is that going to do to our country as a whole? Because already I feel like our kids are not getting the education and the resources they need to succeed. I mean, they're there, but a lot of them don't know about it.
Yeah, and our schools are already full as shit. Classrooms have 32 students in it rather than 15 or 10 from back in the day. You know what I mean? It's already getting intense.
It's tapping resources that are already
we
strained.
already struggling?
I don't see this having a good effect on our economy. If you have more people on welfare, more people getting government aid, that just taxes the system more. and then there's not okay, well then we're not going to put so much in our war budget. Yeah, right. That's not going to change. They're going to keep spending more and more on war and less on things going on at home. And I think that's really the money in our government is mismanaged. And if they were really trying to solve a problem, I'm not sure what that problem is they're solving, but they're creating 100 more problems.
Yeah, what was the point? What was the point of overturning? What was the point of banning this?
It's ideology. And there's no separation of church and state in this moment. That's what's going on. The Christian right has a stranglehold on these Supreme Court justices because they got them in there, and they probably had to agree, I'm guessing behind the scenes, that they would fight all of these things that Obama got passed. They're trying to overturn all of it, just ideologically, because we don't like him and we don't like any of the things that he's done. And that's where I feel why is it Christian ideology that's guiding and ruling our country?
They're supposed to be America, the one that's supposed to be
We have such a variety of religions here. Why is it that one that we're following? And we all know why.
Are you guys religious?
No.
Nah. I'm a very spiritual person, in a strong way.
Yeah.
So,
Spiritual, not religious.
Okay, usually we make that spiritual transformation when we become adults. But were you guys raised religious at all?
No,
never.
You was raised religious.
I was raised. I had to go to church every Sunday. There was a point where I was actually going to church 3 times a week.
Okay.
Where I was deep in the scriptures and living the godly life, and I just. And then I dated an atheist, and he just asked questions that I didn't have answers to, and it made me think. And I was like, I don't know. And when I'm sitting here listening to pastors saying all this stuff, there were certain churches that I was just I don't agree with this anymore. I agree with the idea, but I didn't like the hypocrisy. and I felt more comfortable just finding my own spirituality. Like, I'd rather sit on the beach in the morning watching the sunrise. To me, that's like a greater connection with God than sitting in a church being told how to believe and how to act, when I feel like my inner compass, points me in the right direction. But
So, before you made your shift,
spirituality,
yes,
I was deep in the church.
So, were you against abortion then?
No, actually, I think I've always been like pro-choice, because I never felt it was my right to tell another woman what to do with her
what to
body.
do,
Like, I can't
exactly.
tell you what hair color to wear or what clothes to wear. It's not my business. Like, who to have sex with, who not to have sex with. Like, I mean, girl, if I know he's trash, I'm gonna let you know. But that's the extent of it. At the end of the day, we all make our choices, and that's why I was, and I was raised in the Episcopal Church. We have gay bishops, so it's a pretty forward-thinking church. Not in all states, but definitely in California. Like, one of our pastors was lesbian.
I think that it comes down to the hypocrisy that Christianity brings into this world, of saying like, thou shalt not kill and stuff like that, but still giving all the money to wars to go kill niggas. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you're telling me that I can't get an abortion because of what? You know what I'm saying? But you're doing everything that you're preaching that is a sin or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like literally a list of hypocrisy, like you said. It's like, it's always conflicting, but it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, well, we made the decision, so it is what it is. It's always like, it is what it is. We just have to
God
accept
said
that.
so,
So I know that we can talk about this for hours and hours. and
Yeah, I was saying we could go in.
So I think we should like close soon. So I want to know if you can tell a pro-life person
Definitely.
anything, what would you tell them? Or if you can speak directly to the Supreme Court, what would you say?
I thought you were gonna say if you could tell a difference. I'm like, definitely. They're ignorant. Sorry, I was about to start
If they were here, what would you say? to them? Besides fuck you. But I mean,
to like the literally the 9 old people that made the decision.
Or just the pro-life people that
Yeah.
will be tuning in watching this. And probably comment on some of the things that you
Yeah,
guys are
y'all
saying.
probably gonna try to tear me up. But I would say that I think y'all should go talk to your God before you make rules about everyone, or whatever way that is. You talk to your God. I want to know if he's okay with you going to Iraq and bombing hella people who are innocent and things like that, and funding wars and even walking white men or whoever kills kids out of schools versus killing them, or if it's okay to kill a black person because they look some type of way, but it's not okay for a woman to make a choice to kill a fetus that she doesn't want. I think y'all should go talk to your God about that, because it doesn't make sense to me. I think it's very hypocritical, like we've all been saying in this whole thing.
Yeah. For me, I'd probably just say, if you're pro-life, then, actions speak louder than words. And if you want to protect life and you want to nurture life, then with this overturning of Roe V Wade, how are you compensating to make sure that there's equity in this country for access to education and contraceptives, and at least have some additional act that's going to help these young girls who don't know any better, and these women that get stuck in, really devastating situations. I think that anytime you allow some things in one state and other things in another state, that is a basic human right, you're going to create more problems than solutions. I feel like this was just an ideological move on their part. I don't think they thought ahead as to the impact. I'm not sure if they care, which makes me wonder, why are we saying we're pro-life when we're not, once again, supporting it and financing it? And I think at the end of the day, this is going to blow up in our face as a country, and I hope that they're prepared to deal with it. And I hope it's not a Democrat in office when it happens, because that's the person who usually gets blamed for it all. But I feel like trouble is a brewing, like, in this country, and we need to, as a country, rise up and protect our rights, period. And the right to choose. Like, if you have the right to choose to have a gun, you should have a right to choose what you do with your body. And nobody should be saying anything otherwise. Like, if I want to pierce my ear, I should be able to pierce my ear. If I want to marry a woman, I should be, like, it's not going to impact your life. It's not going to impact your life. It doesn't change your job. It doesn't change your livelihood. How is a woman having an abortion going to impact anyone but her? And I just feel like there's a lot we can do to prevent these things from happening. If this is the case, okay, then now step up the sex ed and the access to contraceptives. So.
I feel like if this is like a final decision where abortions are not going to be illegal in certain states or given the choice, you know what I mean? I think that there needs to be more funding for foster care. I think there needs to be more like options for adoption agencies and things like that. I think you guys need to take care of these children that were originally unwanted and now have to come into the world feeling unloved, feeling unwanted, given away, and all that stuff. I'm not saying that all parents are going to be like, well, I don't want this child, so it is what it is. You know what I mean? I feel like, of course, you're going to have to make that decision, like, okay, well, this is my baby, and it is what it is. But I feel like the foster care is really shit in America. You know, it's overcrowded. There's a lot of children out here that don't have that love. And I feel like if you are pro-life, like you said, like, you know what I mean? Like you were saying earlier, like, I think then act like it, take care of the life that's already here, rather than trying to act, like, control a life that isn't even a part of this world yet. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Let's not make the problem worse.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, that's...
Really, really insightful, and I appreciate you guys all for coming. This is it's a tough time for everybody, obviously, trying to figure out what the future is going to be like with all of this. So all we can really do is talk about it and try and figure out what the next step is. And yeah, I mean, obviously, there's some states that have already kind of had trigger laws so they're already in effect, and we're already seeing the effects of it. Some of these abortion clinics, like, were immediately like, I don't know if I can help these people who are already here. So again, I think this is going to light the fire with a lot of people. And I think it's going to be a call to action. And obviously, everybody who's watching, like, you know, comment below. Like, tell us how you think, what you think. You don't have to agree with anybody here. That's what's great about America.
It's more fun if you do, though.
But it is, right? But the best thing about America is
personal.
It's the choice, which is what we're kind of all in support of. So. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you guys for joining us. And I guess we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
What's the difference between?